Okay, so when is it time to just give up? Well, we're going to talk about that today in this episode. This is Microdose U. I am Dr. Dave. Welcome.
You're listening to Microdose U Radio on the world's famous KMDU FM Salt Lake City.
Watch this. Watch this.
Hey there, welcome back. Oh, Nakama. I really appreciate you being here. Dr. Dave here, doing things a little bit differently, freestyling in my new studio here. So this will be available on both audio and video podcasts. I'm really excited to see how this part goes. I couldn't get rid of the YouTube channel because people kept coming back to it and they wanted more and more. So I figure if I put out an audio podcast, in some instances, I'm going to go ahead and do the video as well. So here we are. I've got a great episode for you today because many people say to me, or I think about this a lot, like when is it just time to give up? Now, this might not be what you're thinking because I'm never going to suggest giving up, always feeling better, making your life better, improving your health both mentally and physically. I'm never going to ask you to give up. That will never happen. You'll never hear that from me. But when I say give up, I'm referring to things that maybe you've tried to make better, but for some reason you just have not been successful and you've done everything you can. For example, let's say you're in a relationship. Whether it's a marriage or a living together relationship or whatever it might be, a relationship with a lover or somebody like the partner, whatever. And it's really a difficult one. It's not working out the way you would like it to, or it's not working out the way you originally planned it to. And I will tell you something else. In your heart, if you're in that situation. I don't have to tell you. Now, in your heart, you might not admit it to yourself or to anybody else, and that's sometimes very difficult. But I think as you're listening to this, you know exactly what I'm talking about if you're in this situation. And my answer would be, again, to the question, when is it just time to give up? I don't really look at it as giving up. I look at it as more moving on to another life situation. Because I was in a very difficult first marriage. It was 23 years. And the first, at least half of it, I'd say we're pretty good. Pretty good, as Larry David says. Pretty good. If you don't watch Curb, that would make no sense at all. And that's my best imitation of Larry David that I could possibly do. But it was good. It was good. I've got nothing really bad to say about it. But for some reason, and again, not to throw anybody under the bus because it's, I don't think it's any one person that's responsible for something. A lot of times it's people come together collectively and it just doesn't work out. But the last at least 10 years were really, really bad. And looking back now, I should have, if I did everything possible to work things out, everything in my power. We had 2 kids in common and kids are beautiful and you never want a marriage to end in divorce if it doesn't have to. But when you get to the point where you've tried everything and it's not working and you think it's really damaging to your life and mental health and physical health, and trust me, everything's connected. So if something's wrong and you're stressed or anxious about it, it is damaging your health. I promise you, and both mental and physical, as I found out much later on in my life. When I always say that when we have things that happen, we can try to ignore them. We can try to, sweep them under the rug, pretend they're not there, but they are accumulating somewhere in our cells, somewhere in our body. They're accumulating some kind of energy, some kind of negative energy, and they're staying there. They're not just going away. So we can try to ignore things as long as we want to, as long as we can, but it's going to have a negative impact on your life, on your physical and mental health. I promise you with 100% certainty. So it got to the point where I just had to say to myself, and ultimately to my ex-wife, that this is not working out for me. I had to make a change and I had to end the marriage. And then I went through, a few years of difficulty and some depression. When you leave something that you're in for 23 years, it's not easy. And a lot of people don't do it because they're simply afraid what's on the other side. The unknown is often very difficult. So that's why a lot of people stay in the same situation forever or until something really bad happens because they're afraid to get out because they're just afraid of the unknown. I will say to you that although the unknown can be scary, and I went through the unknown, but on the other side, when you get through that, that period of time where you're trying to work things out after a marriage or something like that, things get better, much better, no comparison. So when is it time to just quit? When is it time to leave? You know when it's time. When you've tried everything you can and it's just not feasible that it's going to work out, then you have to make a change. Please trust me. Please believe me. I've been through it. And it might not be a relationship. It might just not be a marriage. It might not be a partnership or something. It might be a business. It might be a job. It could be anything. But if you're going into work every day and you're not loving what you're doing, I submit to you that that's a problem. Look, I went through it. I loved what I did at first. Well, I take it back. Dentist. When I became a dentist, I don't think I really ever loved being a dentist. But I went through the motions and did it and was successful. But again, you can only sweep that under the rug so long. It got to the point where it was really wearing on me, and I had to make a change. So these days, I love what I do every single day. Here I am speaking to you, talking to you. I'm in my studio. I'm broadcasting and speaking about something I'm passionate about. I do this every day, and I love it. And when you're able to do this, something that you love every day, your life changes. You've got more of a glow. Your blood pressure goes down. Your health gets better, both physical and mental. Even maybe if you don't microdose, when you start making changes, when you start realizing the things that are not working out in your life and you start changing them, that's when your life starts changing. That's when it starts changing for the better. Like I said, I've been through this, guys. I've been through it all. Tough first marriage, tough profession, tough work. What else? I mean, a lot. So again, when you're there, you know you're there on some level. Although many people either try to sweep it under the rug and don't admit it, or they kind of know it, but they just stay with the program because they don't know what else to do. It also goes with friendships, relationships. It doesn't have to be a lover, or a partner, a spouse. It doesn't have to be that. It could be any kind of relationship. I mean, there was some guy that I was involved with here in this community, in the microdosing community, in the mushroom community. And at first, I thought he was kind, knowledgeable, helpful, positive, and I really kind of immersed myself in his world and stuck with him and hung out with him and all kinds of things like that. But then I started feeling something wasn't right with this guy. Something was off. Something wasn't resonating with me. But I let it go for a while. And I look back and I see my mistake. I should not have. And then at some point, this guy went bonkers. And that made my decision really, really simple, to just totally cut ties, block everywhere. That's what you have to do sometimes. You can't let these things just keep festering and keep going on, because they'll wreak havoc on you, I promise. So it got to the point where I had to just block this guy totally out of my life. I mean, I think he could have been dangerous, actually. But again, I saw the warning signs way before that, but I didn't act on them. Is it because I was afraid? I don't think I was afraid. I think I did not want to admit to myself that this guy's trouble. I didn't want to admit it. And so I just kind of let things, go on, negative feelings and weird feelings, but I just let them go on until he kind of self-immolated, and it just screwed the whole thing up. But I didn't have to wait for that, nor should you. Whatever is going on, if you feel something is bad and you feel it can't be fixed, please figure out a way to get out of it. That's probably some of the most important advice I can give to my nakama here. Because again, whether you are microdosing, whether you're using magic mushrooms in any capacity, whether you don't want to, but so I've got a bunch of listeners here and viewers that actually don't necessarily use magic mushrooms, but they're just very, very curious about the community and very curious about what they've done for me and what they've done for others. But they're kind of sitting on the sidelines and they're not really, using magic mushrooms in that capacity, and that's okay. Everybody can do things on their own timeline. You'll never hear me say that you have to do something. You better do it this way. I'm right, and that's what this other gentleman was doing. He was like, basically, if you don't listen to him and do things exactly his way, then you're all wrong. And he's right. And I can't be around people like that. And neither should you. Neither should you. If I ever become like that, if I ever demand that you do something my way or else you're doing it wrong, then I invite you to leave me. Please just, or call me out. Let me know, because I never, ever want to be like that. Everybody's different. Everybody does things on their own timeline. I'll never give you a hard time if you're in a bad marriage and you don't want to get out. I won't give you a hard time. What I will do, though, is tell you to please think. Please think very, very, very deeply about it. But I'll never say that you have to do something, because that's ultimately your decision. And who am I to say? Who am I to say that I'm always right and I've got the right answer every time? I don't. I've got a lot of life experience. There's no question about it. I've been through some craziness in my life, some real craziness. One day I can tell you some stories that, oh my God, you just wouldn't believe. I don't know if they bore you or not, but some true craziness. But that's okay, because I recognized the craziness and I got out of it. And now, see, I put the time and energy into that. I had the guts to get out of some of the stuff I was in. And now the paybacks are enormous with a really, really good life. Look, I know there's no guarantee. I never want to say that I've got this perfect life and everything's going great, because you know something, tomorrow, who knows what could happen? Things that are either in my control or out of my control. We never know. So I'm blessed that days are good, but I'm also smart enough to know that there's no guarantee, and who knows what tomorrow could bring. But I just, positive energy, I think, really gets you, goes really far. It gets you, really does work for sure. I really hope this helps. I just know there's so many of you that are just kind of stuck and wondering how to get out of something, how to quit something, how to finalize something. And it's very difficult. So if you need to listen to this more than once, please do, because I want to see you live your best life ever. But if you stay in a toxic situation, if you stay in it, it's going to make it near impossible. So keep that in mind, please. I do a brand new episode every Wednesday and every Thursday. Every Wednesday and every Friday. I don't know why I said Thursday. Every Wednesday and every Friday. Sometimes I'll throw in a Microdose Monday, which is a very short episode, which is just kind of announcements, things that we got going on, whether I've got a new webinar coming up or anything like that. So a Microdose Monday is possible. Don't do that all the time, but sometimes I do that. And a Microdose Monday it's like an episode that's probably 3, 4, 5 minutes long, a real short one. Check the show notes, please. Check my show notes every episode. I've got some really important links that you can check out, some resources, my email list. We have a private Facebook group that's really cool. It's just great positive energy for in between episodes. A lot going on, especially, and also if you want to work, if you want some hand holding and want to work one-on-one, I offer a program there as well. So it's all in the show notes, I think. So check that out. And my email address is always there. And one more thing before I go, I want to share something with you. I think it was last week I started more of these freeform episodes where I'm doing it on video as well. And I asked my nakama, which again, nakama is like our family, our tribe, our group of people that have similar energy. I asked you all to send me an email at dave@meadow.com and just introduce yourself. That's just, I want you to introduce yourself. Tell me where you're from. Tell me what's going on in your life. Um, I want to thank you. I got so many of these from you. I really apologize that I'm not able to answer every one of you individually. I got flooded, and I just don't have the bandwidth, unfortunately, to answer all of them. But I want to let you know that I read everyone and will continue to. So if you continue to write and introduce yourself, I will read everyone, but I just can't. I'm not able to answer everyone personally, and I really feel horrible. I apologize, but the outpouring of your positive energy coming into my email box, wow, I absolutely am so thankful. So, okay, I'll end it here. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Until next time, I am Dr. Dave. This is Microdose U, and I love you.